So, Tom, a large part of your work obviously focuses on the importance of being idle and relaxing. How important is being idle to your day-to-day life?
I think it's something that we could all do more of. We're made to feel sort of more or less guilty for sitting around doing nothing. But my argument is that it's a central part of life. It's actually a very important thing to do. Why? Because idling leads to good ideas. It leads to creativity. It's when you're kind of just sitting around doing nothing, lying in bed, lying in the bath, that these kind of ideas come to you. Rest is obviously a good idea. Sleep, napping, going for long walks, anything that's going to sort of feed yourself, which isn't your everyday work. If you overwork, everyone knows it makes you exhausted, it makes you tired, it makes you ill. So just being conscious of the importance of idling itself is a sort of corrective against the dangers of overwork and stress and that kind of thing. So and if you take it really a long way, my idea as well is to help people who actually hate their job so much they want to quit their job and do something they want to do. And that's the kind of ultimate aim, But for most of us who are in jobs which are kind of okay, we need to remember the importance of idling and make time for it, even kind of schedule it,
So, tell us a bit about The Idler. You're obviously the founder of it. Where did that come from? How did you get to start that?
The idea for the magazine?
Yeah,
the idea for the magazine came from essays by Dr. Johnson in the 18th century. He felt himself to be an idler. He was actually quite guilty about his laziness, but he knew it was part of being a journalist. And he was one of the first kind of Fleet Street journalists, in a way, who were getting paid for writing for the newspapers and magazines. And as basically a hack myself, I'm a journalist. I found his example inspiring, and he just basically wrote about his own laziness. He was conflicted about it, definitely. He did feel guilty, but he also recognised that it was when he was doing his thinking. And what he would do would be to work incredibly quickly on the deadline, and that's a natural way of working for me. So if I had to get a piece of work done for 1 o'clock, I can suddenly work with great concentration and great efficiency, and then collapse.
So what will people who haven't read it, what will they sort of find in the pages if they pick it up?
Well, in the current issue we've got an interview with Keris Matthews and from Catatonia about her life and her values, and she's really into teaching people how to sing. In the previous issue we had our cover star was Louis Theroux, so he's talking about how he works and his journey in life so far, because these are people who are inspiring, because they're making a living out of doing the thing they want to do, That's not an easy thing to do, so they're the kind of people we want to put on the cover. We've got a piece by the guys who did the Ladybird spoof books, and they've written an attack on the box sets that you all have to watch. It's too much effort, they're too long. It's like prog rock. It's the prog rock of TV. And he wants to break out of it and not feel that socially you have to watch these bloody things. We've got essays about psychedelia and psychedelic drugs and how they're coming back into. How the scientists have started to be interested in psychedelic states again. And the back section is reviews, how to make cocktails, how to bake bread, how to keep bees, book reviews, festival reviews. It's a guide to the good life.
So, going back to the concept of how important being idle is, you mentioned the important word earlier, guilt. Do you think a large part of why people don't feel they can sit and just enjoy their leisure time these days is that guilt of not moving forward, not doing anything?
Yeah. The guilt's a really big part of most people's lives, and I've thought about this quite a lot, and I sort of tried to figure out where guilt comes from. Are you actually born feeling guilty? Probably not. Babies don't feel guilty. Do 4-year-olds feel guilty for playing and doing what they want? You're taught to be guilty. It comes from outside. We don't naturally feel guilty. Somehow it's instilled in us through the process of growing up, parents and schools, institutions. I think once you understand that, that it's not necessarily a natural emotion, you can get rid of it. Most people haven't got that much to feel guilty about, perhaps. Why feel guilty? as I said, it's a really good thing to do to be idle. You don't need to feel guilty about it. I don't mean that. What I don't mean is that you spend your entire day watching Jeremy Kyle and like drinking super strength lager and never doing anything, and being a kind of a parasite, you know. In a weird way, I'm talking about sort of, you know, trying to enjoy your life, live well, contribute to the world, and allow time for idling. Not that your entire life should be, you should give up at all.
So if you had to give sort of a few tips to people who are kind of guilty again of being sort of constantly needing to be busy, of ways to become more idle and to enjoy their idleness, what would they be?
They would read my books and read my magazine. I mean, you know, there's lots of ways. There's so many ways of doing it, aren't there? I'm getting into cycling at the moment, but cycling really slowly, so that's really nice. And then stopping at the lights and looking around yourself, you know. Instead of getting the bus, walk. You know, walk to work. You know, walk for an hour every day. That's such a simple thing to do. Excuse me. It's incredibly therapeutic. It's idling. You know, walk on your own. Walk with a friend. Leave the house a little bit earlier. You know, get off the bus 3 stops early. My other tip is on the bus or on the train to work. Don't read the newspaper. Put your phone away. Get out a little slim volume of verse. You know, read a poem, just one line of a poem, or one line of one of the great works of literature. You know, on the bus. And then you can sort of educate yourself and take this time that you have commuting, rather than being angry about it. You know, or just doing your Facebook updates, which is a total waste of time. Read a book, read a poem, take a notebook, make some notes, do a little sketch. You know, bring out your inner artist. I mean, I think we're all artists and we're all philosophers inside. A small handful of people manage to make a living out of it. For most of us, we have to work. But let's indulge our artist and philosopher, you know, in our later times.
Brilliant, thank you.